And we are live. What's up, guys? What's up, guys? I see people checking in. What's up? Anyway, glad you guys. Hope everybody's doing good. What's today? Tuesday? Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. Hope everybody's, how are things? Where you guys, if you guys are viewing, where are you guys viewing from? What location are you guys viewing from? Let me know your location in the comments, just so I know that people are. Hey, Gary, what's up, buddy? How are you? Yeah, I started using this new camera. It's right here. It's a little, let me show you. This little bad boy right here, the Sony Rode mic. Got a little setup. Trying to get professional after 10 years, after a decade. Northern VA, Virginia, Anthony. Is that Northern Virginia? Gary, you're from West LA, Santa Monica area. LA, what's up, David? Appreciate you guys checking in. Is UX oversaturated? Yes, we will get into that. From India, New Jersey. Shout out to everybody. I appreciate you guys checking in. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's, grinding a little bit, kind of learning in different things. I just wanted to get on real quick. I'm glad you guys can join in. I posted something recently on my Twitter. What's up, man? Been following. Yeah, what's up, Miguel? So been following me for ages, man. I've been on YouTube for a minute. I get a lot of people hit me up. Canada, what's up, guys? Barcelona, nice. Spain, Miguel. Shout out to you guys, everybody. DC metro area. Okay, yep. Been to DC several years ago. It was awesome. It was did the monument tour. It was real cool. But a couple of things I wanted to share with you guys tonight, just to get you thinking. One thing that I think about a lot, and I posted something recently that I said, if you hang around me, guaranteed, if you hang around me, what's up, Australia, Marina? If you hang around me, you're obviously going to, there's something that's something that's good that's going to rub off on me and rub off on you. It's natural. That's not something that's cocky. It's because every single thing that I think about, every single thing that I'm constantly thinking about positivity. And not just positivity, I'm always thinking about how can I get better, or just how can I improve? And that, I mean, every single minute of the day, how can I improve? How can I get better? How can I do things? And then not only that is, I'm also looking at people who are, let's say they're living out their dreams or success, and they're grinding or whatever. I'm thinking, like, I'm getting inspired by them. My wife, she constantly, and I'm gonna talk about this, like, work ethic. My wife constantly is, we're both, we're how do you say it, uh, dual, work. Both parents are working. Both of us are working, right? We're not just like, I'm working, my wife is staying home taking care of the kids. We both work. I forget the exact. What's up, Juan from ATL? Indonesia in the house. That's dope. India. But we're a dual income family or whatever you want to call it. But I'm always inspired by my wife's work ethic, and I'm going to talk about it in a second. But it's a work ethic that she works with this, and her saying for her business is integrity, service, and results. And she works with this level of integrity as if she's hungry for something. And I don't know what it is, but she has this drive, this continuous work ethic drive that I don't have. And it's obviously not the money, because we have way more money than I ever thought, but it's something else. And I was thinking about this, and I'm thinking like these are the type of people that inspires me. People that have made money, have done well, have built a business, but continue to work. And maybe I don't know what it is, but they're servicing someone else, or you think of like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. They're still working to do something, and it's obviously not the money. They have way more money than they can ever spend, but they're doing something. They're passionate about something. Those I don't know. Those people just inspires me. So it's something that I think about all the time. But one thing that I wanted you guys to just think about. This is a rhetorical question, and you don't even have to answer it. But like, what's your biggest hurdle? What's your biggest struggle? Just something to think about. It's just something that I'm thinking about, because it's something, because there's a lot of things that we have, like whatever our struggle might be, that might be something that we can handle ourselves, right? Sometimes there's struggles that's out of our control. Sometimes there's struggles that we can handle. Like, for example, is procrastination, is procrastination a struggle? Is landing a job a struggle? Um, you know, you don't like your job. Is that a struggle? Is one of your struggles imposter syndrome, right? We always hear that. Um, is one of your struggles overthinking? Um, that's a biggie. Overthinking. A lot of us overthink. Hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. And we overthink. That's a big one. Everybody's kind of hit with that. Um, is so the thing is, the rhetorical question that I have, like the initial one is, think about what's your struggle. Just keep that in your mind. Think about what your struggle is, because the 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 best way, or the the way to get over your struggle is, one, to be conscious of that and to call that out. Some people needs to call that out. Like, if I always like to use this phrase. If I'm sitting with you at a Starbucks and we're just chatting back and forth, I need to be able to call that out. I need to be able to, if I'm chatting with you and you're like, and we're talking about our struggles, and I call out, hey, what's your struggle? And you give me that. Maybe procrastination is it. I mean, like, why are you procrastinating? Like, what are you doing? Are you watching TV? Are you not planning? Like, what is it? Are you just browsing the web? Are you on social media all the time too much? Are you just not thinking? Like Earl Nightingale always says, like, only 5% of everybody think about what they want. You know, um, whereas whereas and which is true. And whereas you go through the week, go through your days, sort of just kind of chipping away at your job or chipping away at something, but um, you're not really focused. You're not really assertive, or what is it? Attentive in being in what you actually want. You know, and you need to, like, be proactively hanging around people, proactively thinking about stuff, so that you can get back on track, because we're all like that. We dilly dally over here, we're watching the news, we're getting sidetracked on all that stuff. But that's just one thing that I wanted to just have you guys think about. Just like, what's your biggest struggle? The next thing that I want to talk about is secret to long lasting success. And we're going to get into Q&A in a little bit. I just wanted to go over a couple of things. These are some things that I was thinking about. The next one is the secret to long-lasting success. And this comes back to what I was talking about how I said my wife sort of motivates me. I'm going to say work ethic. Think about your work ethic right now. Like, take an audit. And what I mean by that is a lot of us are lazy. And I'm no different. And I'll tell you why. Because we all work hard when we have to. We work hard when we have to, but let me pull this up. We work hard when we have to, but when we get some level of success, we land a job, we stop, we kind of take a breath, we take a break. And then the whole cycle continues. We get to the point to where we don't even like the job that we're at. And then we look at our portfolios or whatever, and we're like, it's out of date, and I gotta update it. Like, what if you were just steadily, consistently grinding every single day, even with the job, even with the money you're making or whatnot. If you're just grinding every single day, the success will just accumulate. The compounding effect of everything that you would be doing would be adding up, and you would be building so much equity in your career. So the one thing that I think about when it comes to long-lasting success, I think work ethic. My wife, and I'll give my wife for example, and I was obviously using Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos as folks that were really inspiring just based on their work ethic. And you pretty much list all the other billionaires in there. It's something about them. But someone that hits home to me, like my wife, she just works hard. And it's something about servicing. When you put yourself accountable and you're accountable to other people, it forces you to work hard. But it's a trip when you see somebody work hard and consistently work with integrity, trying to provide the best customer service, getting good results. It's something there. And I look at someone like my wife, and I look at other folks in her profession, and some people might say, like, wow, she's whatever. I don't know. She's really successful, and I think it comes down to work ethic. And I think we all can think about our work ethic, because if you are consistently moving in a direction where you're just constantly being consistent, you're going to have success, and that success is going to be rooted very deeply in. So, and this is somebody that getting close to 7 figures, but works as if you need to put food on the table. And I'm like, you don't have to work that hard, but what is it? And and it's mind-boggling. So it's something that I see literally, like, in person. And it just blows my mind, but it's something that inspires me. And I'm like, yes, that's it. Everyone, you need to just find something and stay consistent regardless of the money. If you stay consistent, that level of success will be long lasting. It will be deeply rooted. And you will continue to build something that nobody can actually tip over, because the foundation will be so strong. And that your work ethic, if you can work just as hard as you're a millionaire or a billionaire, obviously, or just as when you were, let's say, broke and needing that job, that success will be long lasting. So I say, think about what you're doing every single day. Are you thinking, hey, I need money, I need a job, I need this? Look at your work ethic. What is your work ethic? Are you putting in the hours? Are you putting in the practice? Are you putting in, are you building on your portfolio? Are you building up your personal brand? Whatever it may be, that work ethic. And we all can do it. We all can take from that principle and apply it to what we want every single day. So I just wanted to share that with you. One thing that and I touched on this recently in a post. Every time I come across somebody successful, regardless of what they do, there's three things that comes to mind. Number one is, what do you do? Number two, how do you do it? And then three, like, how did you get there? Because you can always pull a nugget from one of these, because it's not about whether or not you want to switch careers. If somebody's driving Ferrari and they're a financial broker or whatever, or a mortgage broker, or somebody that does stocks, or somebody that does construction and build their own business. But when you ask these questions, like, what do you do? First off, you understand that, and you go, how do you do that? When you really can talk about, like, how did they do it? Like, what do you do day to day? And what did you do to get there? You'll see these principles. There's that work ethic, and there's like these principles that you can take, that anybody that is successful, it's stuff that it's not a secret. It's just hardcore principles: work ethic, discipline, drive, determination, and it's just all these things that any one of us can apply to our careers and our lives, and to push ourselves higher to whatever we want, whether it's a new job, to land a job, to grow some skills, to continue to push forth, and beyond. The other thing that I want to talk about is this. I want you guys to think about this. Everyone needs, you guys heard me probably talk about this before. Everyone needs an island. What do I mean by that? I told my wife that the other day. She was like, that's dumb. Let me explain. I'm like, I need to explain this to you. This is my analogy. So everyone needs an island. And what I mean by an island, everyone needs a job. All right, we're in this world of the internet where either it's freelance, it's making money online, it's doing this, it's being successful, it's building this, building that, what have you. In my opinion, from what I see in the world, everyone needs an island. And the reason why I say everyone needs an island, and I'll represent male and female on this island. Everyone needs an island for several reasons. One, they need to be able to breathe, catch their breath. Breathe is one. They need to be able to plot. They need to be able to plan. They need to be able to grow, learn. They need to be able to, they need an island to catapult to the next island. And then at some point, if you want to swim in the ocean, which you want to become an entrepreneur, or you want to freelance, and think about this island, there's several islands in this metaphorically in this world that I'm thinking about. So there's different islands and there's different jobs. And one thing that you got to keep in mind is that the island doesn't have to be perfect. We all need, you need a job in order to, as I mentioned, breathe a little bit, plot, think about your next move, learn about yourself, learn about some of the things, the deficiencies that you may have. Like, hey, I don't even have that drive, or I don't have this thing, or I don't have that. That's where we have this job, even though we may not like it. We have this job where that's what we use to learn and grow and learn about ourselves, and just continue to consume until we move to the next island. And one day, guess what? I think everybody's at different levels. Everybody's at different levels in a sense where, you're at different phases in your career. And that island, in my opinion, is super, super, super important. Like, I just posted a video recently where I said, you know, UI design is the most important, and somebody made a comment. I said UI design is the most important skill as a product designer, right? And I made my case about how it's so important. The goal is to land this job. Now, in certain companies that you may work in certain companies that you may work with, you may not technically use your visual design skills every single day. They may be pushing, you know, you to do this, do that. Some jobs you may focus more on UX. I never had a job where we constantly focused on UX and wireframes and problems. Listen, we were always pushing designs and working with devs and this dev environment and pushing things, right? Long story short, someone made a comment and said, I wouldn't want to work at a company that only focused on design. Listen, why am I saying that? I'm being a realist. I want you to get a job. If you don't like the job that you're at, you just get a job. Get an island that the island doesn't have to be perfect. But it's easier to jump from one island to another island when you're sitting on a particular island. If you're out there swimming in the ocean and paddling for breath, and you're plotting and planning and you need to put food on the table and you need a job, it's like you can't be picky and choosy. Hey, I want to work for this company who works 6 months on problem solving and UX design and sticky notes and talking about user personas and the customer journey and empathy maps and blah blah blah, what have you. It's like, I'm like thinking to myself, if I need a job, I want a job where the check clears every 2 weeks. And that gives me a break to at least learn about where I want to go next. I don't care if the job doesn't focus on UX design or does this, does that. Let's just keep it real. Like, we need money to pay bills and to survive. When you're at a point in your career where you can pick and choose, do that. That's great. Good for you. But I mean, that's not what my focus is. I mean, you need to think and be thankful for what you have. If you have a job and you want to continue to move out, you want to grow, you want to, become an entrepreneur, you want to freelance, you want to do that, that's great. But be thankful that you have a job. The goal is to have a job. And then from there, you can go from job to job. It's always easier to get a job when you have a current job. So if you're using my analogy with the island, it's always easier to jump from one island to another when you have an island. That's just plain facts. And the island doesn't have to be perfect. Land this job, figure out how things are. And the truth is, no company understands UX completely. Only some big tech companies that built out their organization. But there's hundreds of thousands of companies, and a lot of them don't understand exactly what UX is. The end goal of every company is to build products, get these products out, making sure these customers enjoy the products, making sure that you're adding features to these products, and the cycle continues. How you do that can vary. Anyway, so I just wanted to share those things with you. Just some tips initially, then I'm going to jump into some Q&A, but think about your biggest struggle. Think about what I'm talking about here is secret to long-lasting success. Work ethic. We're all lazy, and I'm no different. Sometimes I get lazy. When I got to a point in my career where I'm like, man, I have enough money. I can get the car I want. I got the the dream car I wanted. Went to the vacations we wanted. Bills are paid. Everything's good. I got lazy. Then when I see somebody who has that and working hard, I'm like, that's how you go from there to there. That's how you reach your full potential. You stay consistent. You stay consistent. Keep that work ethic. Keep that work ethic today as if when you got started. That's how you continue to grow and continue to be successful. That's when you get to the point in your life where Grant Cardone says, there is no competition. Like if you ever want to not worry about anybody next to you, you just want to focus on you and be successful, that's what you do. It's a steady, consistent flow of integrity, good customer service, and the results will follow. I don't care if the person's next to you, beating you, you're not even looking. You got your blinders on, work ethic, integrity, customer service, and a steady flow. Guaranteed the money will come, the money will follow, and success will continue to pour in. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Let me jump into some Q&A, look at the board here. I appreciate you guys for chiming in. Appreciate you guys. Elijah said, glad to catch one of these streams. Been watching your vids the last few weeks. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Elijah. Let me see. The struggle with. So Anthony says the struggle with, will I be good enough to get a job is my struggle. Straight up. That's a real one. Like I said, the most important thing because everybody struggles with that. But the truth is, this is what I know. And being around the people that I'm around and just knowing what I know, like everybody is still figuring it out. There's people that is fake that might want to, that shows a level of confidence, which confidence is important. It's definitely important, but there's people that shows a level of confidence that it feels as if they're at a place that you can't be unless you've entered this secret gate of level of skill, confidence. I don't know what it is. Truth is, everyone's figuring it out. Everyone's figuring it out. So keep that in mind as you continue to grind. And build your skills and continue to grow and want to get to where you go, just realize that be confident in where you are. Know that you're learning. Know that you're continuing to grow. And don't worry about whether or not you're good enough. Just know, hey, you are where you are and you're going to continue to learn. You're going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to consume. And you're going to continue to improve on what you do and try to provide, be an asset to a particular company based on the skill set and the things that you can offer. Elijah's saying, he thinks struggle is a mixture of procrastination, overthinking. Yep. I think about what I want to do too much. Maybe a struggle gets there because I don't know where to start. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the truth is, overthinking, procrastination is something that we all struggle with. But I will say this, something that I've done lately, if just get started, I think is really important. If you just get started on doing stuff, not overthinking anything, like for example, me doing these lives I have these meetups on Thursdays. There's a lot that's building in that. And I'm not selling anything in particular by doing this. But I know by getting started, I'm building my brand. I'm building awareness. I'm building a lot of things. And it's not just by overthinking. Sometimes it's not just being a marketer and like, hey, I have to have a plan each time I go out with a live stream, each time I go out with a video, each time I do this, each time I put this product out. Just know by working, you're always going to pivot. Every road to something, there's always little angles. It's not just a straight line. So just by getting started, you might be moving in this angle, and you come back and pivot, come back here. I watched a video of somebody that was, I watched a video. I'm not going to call this person out, but I watched a video on YouTube of someone that I thought was interesting. And I was like kind of getting some info from this person. And in the video, this person said, I haven't put out a video in a while because I was overthinking and I just posted like 12 videos and I just deleted them. And I'm like, man, this person just was overthinking too. I'm like, Like, nah, life is too short to overthink. Every time I overthink, when you think you're overthinking, you should just do something. I mean, especially all like those of us on YouTube, we always struggle with that because we're like, oh, post a video. Sometimes when I post a video, I used to when I do get into overthinking mode, and I'm like, why? And I get into a flow of just posting videos, and every time I post a video that I thought that was dumb, it always has good results. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's always like it's gonna hit somebody, and somebody's gonna like it. Requirements are high. Let me see. One of the struggles. Let's see. Miguel said, one of my struggles is if I find a proper UI. Yep. I work for an agency as a UI UX designer, but I feel we are not doing so. I wonder if I'm good enough to work as a UI UX designer. I believe I am. Miguel, you touch on something that right now, what you just said here is guarantee what 97%, I would say, of all UX designers think about. And the reason why, I'll pull your question back up. And the reason why is because UX design, the user experience of UX design is horrible in corporations. And what I mean by that, somebody posted that recently, and it's so true. The problem is companies, no one knows what UX is. That's why when I say UX design is common sense, is because people were doing UX prior to even this UX thing even exist, like came out to be a popular thing. What I'm getting at is you're asking a question like you at your job, you're doing something, but you wonder if you're even learning, quote unquote, UX design to work at like a big company, a big tech company that really, really, truly promotes UX design. Hold on one second, guys. Let me just. Wifey. Hey. Sorry about that. Wifey's telling me about a new listing, and I'm like, hey, I'm on a live right now. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think about all the time, and this comes back to Miguel's question, or something he struggles with. He struggles with potentially thinking about if you're good enough, because at their current job you're not doing real UX design work. All right. Here you got to remember 4 things that make up a good product designer. I don't care what company you work for, whether it's Google, Netflix, Facebook, what have you. Okay. At the end of the day, your goal as a product designer is to put out a product. So for example, let me just bring up something and just say mobile app. All right, all right. All right, what is this? Maybe I should go to product hunt. Let's just pull up product hunt. Okay, look at the first a startup, a site engine, entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. Express your avatar. Fast, easy, open source dashboards for everyone. I don't even know what this is. Let's just go to their website. All right, what is this? All right, okay, it's a dashboard. All right, we have questions about our database. All right, long story short, as a designer, our goal as a designer in any company is to put the product out and design the product and put it out in the market. That's the ultimate goal. How that comes about can vary in a million different ways, and there's no one right way to do it. There's no one right way to put, let me come back here. There's no one right way to, and that's what you have to remember. There's no one right way to understand if you're hitting the mark. There's a million ways. There's literally 1,000 different ways that you could solve a problem that produces a great application. So always remember, the number one thing of any product designer is visual design. Now, this could come last, but at the end of the day, after you've spoken to the customers, after you've done the sticky notes on the wall, after you've done the user personas and you know who you're targeting, hey, we're targeting business owners that does this. After you've asked all the questions, after you've gone through and worked with your product owners to understand the requirements and things like that, what do? You go back to your drawing board, to your desk, and you brainstorm solutions. You can choose to do wireframes, but at the end of the day, you build these prototypes, and you're building these prototypes with high fidelity visuals, right? Do you do paper cutouts? I saw something recently with paper cutouts, and I was like, oh my goodness, it blew my mind. Okay, I'm like, I remember the paper cutouts, like paper prototyping. I'm thinking, I'm like, when they start pulling out the scissors and cutting this stuff out, I would have been done with a visual prototype, literally a high fidelity visual prototype after you finish cutting the stuff out, right? Long story short, how you want to do it, it's up to you. But visual design is obviously a key part of your job. Problem solving, critical thinking, and then communication is not part of the UX design process. It's a soft skill that's invaluable for you landing a job anywhere else. So when you think about hey, do I have the skills to land a job somewhere else? That's all you have to focus on, these 4 elements. Now, if they ask you about a particular thing, do you have experience interviewing customers? You can say, sure, I speak to customers, I speak to people, right? How the technique on how, there's no right and wrong on how you approach people, right? And that could be easily learned. If you went to an interview and you didn't pass the job based on your ability not to speak to a customer, that can be learned. That could be learned, and then the next job you get, now you know it. It's simple. Good question here. Let's see. Josh says, what motivates me to consistently push? Great question. What motivates me to consistently push is very simple, is the fact that I have much more to offer to whatever that is. Somebody was very nice and said something to me that was so nice in like LinkedIn messages. She said, Mike, she goes, you have a power in your words. And that was a very nice thing for her to say based on like just, she resonates with how I say things, and she's actually consuming a lot of my information and using it to grow in her career. But that was a nice thing to say, but that's something that I think about quite often, like the fact that I like talking with people. I like sharing things. I like breaking things down in common sense. I like meeting people. I like the idea, the potential of building your brand through video and stuff like that, and just saying things and talking and saying things in a common sense way, that I feel I can help people. I feel that I can do things. I feel that I can strive in any different career that I want. Long story short, is pushing forward is that I feel we're all working at a. David Goggins actually says it's the 40% rule, that we're all working at a 40% capacity, that we have all this capacity, and I think that's true. So wherever you are in your career, I think we're all here. We're all here, and if you're constantly grinding and striving and pushing every single day, you're reaching more of that potential that each and one of us has. And so I think about that often. I think about I think our purpose in life is to push to fulfill the rest of our potential. So if we're working at 50%, let me see. Let me move this over. A little container. I like to use this little container. So let's just say so this is our this is how much more room we have. This is our potential. Oops. Get back down to 3. This is our potential. So all this is our potential that we're not really striving for. When I say we get lazy, we do enough to live, and this is average, right? Average, which is fine. Everybody can choose to do whatever they want. But it's not about me looking at you and saying you're average. It's saying how much are you pushing yourself. I'll give you an example. I worked with a friend and we would go to lunch, work at ADP, and he goes, Mike, man, I'm just tired, man. I'm tired. His kids were going off to college, and I was like, man, he was like, he saw me doing all these YouTube videos on like this Laker stuff. And he was like, man, Mike, how do you have all this energy? Like, what are you doing all this? I'm like, I'm just doing my thing. And he was like, Mike, I'm tired, man. I'm just tired. I go home and I'm just tired. And I'm like, that's fine. And we all are tired, right? We all are tired. The point is, you have to always find something. And this person, my friend, maybe he could find something that excites him. Like maybe it's gardening or doing some carpentry at home or something like that. The point is, he decided he's tired, right? His job tired him down. Like, and what I think about is, and if I'm being real, I'm like, bro, you're settling. You're not pushing yourself beyond, because we can all push ourselves to get to a point to where we're inspired, to where we're motivated. And it's not always about having to be this great thing or this rich person. It's like getting into a groove that we all like, getting into a groove that we want. And when you get into a groove of like something that you feel that you could, just the momentum there, and something that you feel like you can do more of, you reach, your full potential, or you're just pushing toward your full potential. Eli just says that's awesome that you feel motivated by your wife's work. Yeah, I tell her that all the time. I tell my wife that all the time, and it is true. I'm like, it's very, like what she does rubs off to me, and I like to share that. I'm like, let's see what this is. Improve your skills. There's a reason for. You're the reason for a reason. You're there for a reason, and it definitely helps down the line. Sticky notes. Appreciate it. Dave loves the analogy. I think of the island. I recently landed a mentor review of my portfolio. So Alexis said, I recently had a mentor review my portfolio, and his primary advice was for me to showcase a lot more UI. Exactly. definitely showcase a lot more UI. I'll show you guys something um, just to share with you. This is a new dribble. I'm always like my last video, I shared three dribble designers that I like. This is another one that I just found today. Wide Lab. Just check that out. Dribble.com/wide lab. And I guess it's an agency. I don't know exactly, but not everybody is created equal on Dribble. But check them out. This is a great group to follow. And the reason why, because as I dive deep into their work is very relatable to real life. And what I mean by that is the stuff you see out on the web, the stuff that I preach, SaaS products, like deep UX design work, their stuff is relatable versus a lot of like illustration and stuff like that. Because truthfully, in all my years of working as a UX designer, very rarely do I don't even use illustration, right? Long story short is their work is very relatable to real world UX design, UI, product design apps that we use. And it's high-end visual design aesthetics that they show on their work that is very inspiring. So if you're not following these guys already, go there. Wide Lab, excellent choice to follow and to study. Look at their work, zoom in on it. I mean, mimic this stuff. The stuff that they're doing. These guys are top notch. So when somebody says, hey, improve your visual design skills, follow a group of folks like this. Just an abundance of amazing, really strong, real world, like as I like to say, real world visuals. Miguel said, just landed a job during quarantine. I came from swimming from the ocean. For sure, man. So Miguel likes that analogy. He said he came up swimming from the ocean. Hey, for sure. When you land that job, when you're out there looking for work and you don't have a job, you're out there paddling. And hopefully the sharks don't bite and nip at you. That's like, the bill collectors, right? But when you land that job, you take your breath. You're safe for a moment. You can dust yourself off. You can breathe a little bit. And then you can get ready to catapult to that next island. Maybe the next island's better. Yeah. No, you keep working, bro. That's just you thinking. If anybody out there thinks that, hey, if you have a job right now, you think, listen, understand what I'm saying. Everyone's figuring it out. Even the boss at this other company, this hiring manager at this other company, Google, whatever, they think they think they know it all, but they're still figuring it out. There's an aspect of their life that they're figuring out. Just understand that when you're honest in who you are and what you want to provide, you're sincere, you want to provide a good service, good value as a designer, product designer, and you kind of just focus on some core strengths that you have, and you want to, you're willing to grow, you're willing to learn, you can get things done. Like I talk about when it comes to like going into interviews, people will resonate with that. The more sincere you are, people will resonate with that. Let's see, great insight, really apply to the job hunt. I like the name. Look, Mick Lockheed. Hey, that's dope. It's like Mike Lock. My struggle, retired UX, content strategist, moved out of US. I want to go back to work. I struggle with age discrimination and what I perceive to be ageism. Yep. We all struggle with that. the one thing that I like to say, like regardless of your age, and I look at this as like if you're older, if you're younger, if you like the market won't discriminate if you're providing a service and an asset to this particular company that is the going thing, right? So if the market's currently looking for this particular thing and they need this thing, this person, this designer, this level of work ethic or whatnot, the market, now people are human, so people can discriminate against me in terms of my age or whatnot. That's just life in general, but it's guaranteed if you approach it where you provide a service and you're providing an asset in this marketplace for what the market is looking for and what they need. And that could be a lot of things. That could be your level of design skills, your level of work, your level of your soft skills, your approach. A lot of times when we get older, we become more stubborn. So if I go into an organization and I'm like wise, I'm like, I've been there, done that, I've been doing that for 20 years, these young cats, blah blah blah. It's like that looks bad on my part. I'm not giving this organization what they need in terms of what they need for the market. So we have to take an audit of ourselves. Am I from top to bottom, visual design skills? A lot of times as we're older, our visual design styles become outdated. We have our own go-to moves. We've been designing for the last 20 years. Can we adapt to what we see that's new in the market? Can we adapt to stuff like this? That's why I always say constantly be improving our visual designs. Can you adjust maybe your stubbornness? Because I have to think about that too. Can I adjust my stubbornness? I have my own ways. I'm older. Can you adjust that? Can you adjust, here's the biggie, your salary, right? As we are older, we have families. We have, a way of life. We have things that we uphold. Hey, I need to make this much money to cater to my bills, and I'm not going to take anything less. If we can adjust that and the market's asking for this, then we have to make that adjustment, but like I say, we can all become, every one of us with the work ethic, improving our visual UI design skills, we can become linchpins. And Seth Godin coined that phrase in his book, A Linchpin, basically somebody that stands out from the normal commodity. If you stand out from the crowd, I don't care how old, how young, whatever you are, you can be an alien. If you stand out and you have an amazing design portfolio, you have good soft skills, that you're just a nice person, you can communicate, like you can work with others, and you're willing to do this job, you're willing to be a product designer, you're willing to work in an organization as a product designer or a UX researcher, however, UX content strategist, however, whatever job you want to go into, if you're willing to make those adjustments, you should not worry about your age. Should not worry about your age. Hey, Mike, I'm currently in a digital designer role where I do animations. Yep, okay, nice. Web design, social media, and EDMs. What's your advice, best way to transition from this type of work to UX? Great question. You obviously have a very niche skill. If you're an animator, your animations and all that stuff, web design, social media, all this stuff, that's very niche. Awesome. All you have to do is you basically, if you're coming from a different discipline where you're a designer, animations, all this stuff, you have everything. You just have to pivot your you have to just pivot your skills into what's needed in UI UX design. If you're coming in from another, let me show you an exact visual. Okay, so let's just pull up something like this. So if you're an animator, you're an illustrator, you're anybody in design, but you want to pivot into UI, UX design, you have to start building out projects that showcases your visual or your UI, UX design skills. And the best way to do that is through like SaaS products or apps on the market that has different level of states. For example, this is one state. Let me see. Well, okay, so here's one state, here's another state. So there's different level of states. And so when you can problem solve, like, because UI UX design is about problem solving, but the best way to showcase your ability to problem solve in visual designs is to have apps designs on your site that showcases different states. And why do I mean different states? Here's one state. This is one screen. You can think of it as screens, right? I always say, hey, have like 6 to 8 to 10 different screens of one particular app. And the reason for that is in order to go from, let's just think about this. In order to go from this screen to this screen, there has to be some thought process, right? If in order to go from this screen to this screen, there has to be some thought process. There are requirements that were actually discussed that takes a user from this screen to that screen. There's a flow, there's an action. The natural state of going from one screen to another, to another, to another, to another, to another involves a lot of things. It involves two of the main things that makes up a product designer: problem solving and critical thinking. Let me show you. So these particular skills right here, visual design, obviously is one. You have that skill. You just have to show it in your mock-ups. But these two things, this is what you do already. If you're an animator, you already communicate. You communicate with your product owners, your product managers, your stakeholders, and all that stuff, your clients. So you already have these two skills. All you have to do is showcase these two. Is the problem solving, critical thinking. You actually already critical think. Critical thinking is actually just thinking through your work. Like, am I doing the right, is this the right screen? Is this the right, ad? Is this the right animation? Whatever. Critical thinking is just asking questions. So while you're designing screens, oops. You're designing these screens, you're asking questions. So you have to work towards building out projects. I call them personal projects. And the idea is to think of something that you enjoy. You can get deeper. I might spend my next live stream will be talking about personal projects, how to come up with ideas for personal projects. Just work on an idea for a personal project. It could be something like improving a particular app that you love. Redesign it. Show your different states. That's, in my opinion, but you do that over and over again. So if you did one project, if you now built multiples and now you have 6 to 8 to 10 different projects showcasing these types of apps, that's how someone as a designer or an animator moves from just animation into more UI, UX design work. What sites would you recommend finding quality icons, images? So a good site, I use, what is it? Flat Icon. What is it? Is it flat? Yeah, flaticon.com. You can go here, you can purchase icons, and the other, okay, so flaticon.com is a good site that I like for icons, and then Stocksy.com is an app is my favorite place in terms of good quality stock photos. So you can say business meeting. Hypothetically, let's just say I was building an app where I needed a photo for a business meeting. As you can see, these are very nice, good quality images. And I think most of the work that's here on Stocksy.com is very professional. So yeah, so you can purchase something like this. A lot of times you really just need like a lot of look at that small, medium. So a lot of times I remember they actually moved their prices. I remember I used to get a screenshot or get a nice image for like 25 bucks. And that one image, to be honest with you, if you really get one hero image, you can leverage that hero image to be the focal point of your project. All you need is really one. Let me show you. Um, Let me show you. So like, for example, something like this, right? So if like for this project, obviously this photo here, let's say this photo cost me 25 bucks. It's one photo that kind of like sets the tone for this project. And you can see all the other states within this project was just like UI design work. Is not images. So you really don't need multiple images. So if you're building a project, a personal project for your site, and you don't want to just use like free images out there, go out there and invest. Spend 25 bucks, spend 30 bucks, grab that image, and you can obviously copy that image before you actually pay for it. Just copy it and then just expand it. It's going to look kind of distorted, but once you add it to your portfolio, make sure you pay for the high res version. Let's see. Yep. Your age brings real world, yep, experience leadership. Definitely. Look at the pluses in terms of talking about, I'm a newbie changing careers. I like this question. Let me see. I'm a newbie changing career from DTP to UX. I don't know what DTP is. It's a struggle. I love learning Webflow, Airtable, Figma. I got my first website to make, but it's not easy. Your motivation helps. I appreciate that. Oh, by the way, this week, I will be on Thursday, my meetup. I'm going to have Nelson on, Pixel Geek from Webflow. So we're going to be talking to everything Webflow related. I'm going to interview him, obviously, kind of get a feel for how he got started and became the customer service person in Webflow. But I wanted his thoughts on the future of Webflow and how Webflow can be used as for designers, and how does Webflow envision the growth of their tool. Is it going to be, do they see UX designers leveraging it more, or is it just a web design tool that we will be using just for websites and things like that? But are we going to see this internally, in corporations, long term, where if Webflow, it will increase your value as a full stack designer. I used Webflow at a company that I was with last year in 2019. To build this particular app. I worked for an insurtech company where I worked, quote unquote, as the wait, let me show you. Built this app here, where I worked, quote unquote, as the front end a front end developer. We had like a four-person team we're an incubator in a big company, and I used Webflow as a front end development tool. Like truthfully, like having to design these things, exporting the code, and supplying the stripped down code to our backend team, which used their own framework, and it was kind of crazy. But what's interesting, I'm gonna talk to Nelson this Thursday. Stay tuned. I'll have that forum up there, and so that if you guys are interested, just I'll send you the link, and you guys. I'll be promoting the link tomorrow. I'll have the link updated where you can register and get that Zoom call. But it's going to be a Zoom call Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Hey, Mike, let's do this. Hey, Mike, what's your opinion on having case studies in portfolio? I feel that I'm struggling right now when it comes to UX research, user testing. They're not fully developed apps. So case studies help. Truth is, case studies do help. I was never good at case studies. Excuse me. I was never good at case studies, but I spoke to someone recently, one-on-one, and this person had a level of case studies that was just deep. Like the point is this: if you can build a case study for each of your projects, like really go through your thought process, show some sketches, show some wireframes, however you want to dress it up. It's gonna only help you. All right, but don't think don't think case study and then you lack on your visual design. I would say focus more on your visual design. Like I do, like I focus more, like it's important to me to focus on visual design and then talk through my process with recruiters and hiring managers and stuff like that. And to the point where I'm only focusing on one page on my portfolio that kind of outlines my process and things like that. And I'm going to continue to grow. This is one way to do it. This is the late, I mean, I don't know, but this is just my way. But I like to say, don't take my word for it. So basically what I do is I have my work and this is my visual designs, right? These are just screens, my visual designs. You come in here, there's no case study, okay? Just visual designs. And what I created was a one link that says my process. And in this process, I sort of describe my thought process, everything that I go through when it comes to designing and developing a product. And so this is a little glimpse into my process and how I think. And so that's how I do it. But if you're able to do case studies for your projects, it's going to only help and benefit you. Think about it. We can go out there and just look for, and it could be simple. It doesn't have to be so detailed. Go out there and look for great examples of case studies and just mimic that, mimic that. And, don't stop yourself from posting a project just because you don't have a case study. Post your visuals. If you get somebody on the phone, like a recruiter and things like that, you can talk to them and say, hey, I'm still working on building out my case study, but here's my process, and then have your process documented somewhere and just share it that way. Great question by Vince here. Do you have any tips for increasing my speed when it comes to designing a website or a web app? That's a great question. I actually think about this often. I think the answer to this question is you get into a flow, and you have to get into a flow. All right, here's the way to improve your speed for designing websites or web apps. You have to prep. And what I mean by that, you have to plan. It's like painting a wall, right? Like if I was to paint this room without basically taping down the edges, it would take me longer because I would screw up and I look at that thing and it doesn't look finished, right? But if you prep, you spend an hour or two painting or prepping, or an hour prepping, the paint job would actually be done faster, okay? And what I relate that to is when you are designing a product or you're designing an app, like for example, let's just look at these examples here. Okay, so for example, I can't design this level of an app without actually prepping, like deciding what type of app am I designing, what problem am I solving, done some research, like done my mood board, I've done some brainstorming. I went out there and looked, and then, I understand the requirements on what I'm trying to design for. Like all this stuff is some prep work. It's stuff that I talk about in my course at MLUX Academy. It's a process that we all go through as designers before we get to the visuals, right? But the point is that process can be sped up over time. So let me see if I can. So here's another. So no one can design something like this without prepping, without truly going through the process. And this process, I call it the kickoff meeting, right? The kickoff meeting is, what are we designing? What are we trying to solve? What problem are we trying to solve for? What are some of the requirements, right? Like it could be, I don't know what this particular thing is, this app is, but there are some requirements like, hey, we're solving for this, right? And the requirements is we want to have a dashboard, we're going to have a section for people, finances, statistics, documents, calendar, etc. Right? When they click on people, they said we're going to show people in this card view, or that can come later, but we're going to show different people in this view. And long story short is those are listing out requirements. When you list out requirements, then you get to a state of what I call designing mood boards, where you're going out there and you're getting ideas, right? Now you get these ideas and you start doing some low fidelity wireframes. I call these like sketches, right? So my first page, I'm going to have a dashboard. Second page, I'm going to have this people thing and you're looking at these mood boards that you're designing. And I actually cover this in my course. Let me show you. If you're interested, if you're truly interested and you don't have a design process for, you know, and you're truly interested, check out my course at MLUX Academy. So, okay, so in this course, so right here, designing an app from concept to prototype. Okay, this is phase 3 of my course. Coming up with the idea, defining problem solution. This is the design planning phase, creating the mood board. This is what I just explained. Sketching out ideas, creating task flows. Task flows is like just simply sketching out. And this is a great question because a lot of us go through this. Like task flow is like this. This is going to be the dashboard. Here I'm going to have the people section. This is like of this app we were looking at just there. So for example, so this is a task flow. When I click on this guy here, or when I click on this thing, it's going to the people, I don't know, too. This is like people, like just say pop-up or modal. You're gonna have a pop-up of this thing here, whatever, right? This is a task flow. And then you design this is your task flow. So the point, what I'm saying is, so right here, once you do this, this is the prep work. This right here is the prep work. Defining the problem and solution, creating a mood board, sketching out ideas, creating your task flows. Why am I saying this? Because once you define the problem, all right, you brainstorm by creating a mood board. And the mood board is basically a collection of ideas. You go out to Dribble and you just screenshot these ideas and you bring them into this place where your app, Figma or Sketch or Adobe XD, and basically it gives you ideas to what apps you want to design, okay? And then number 3, what was it? Lost my train of thought. Okay, sketching, ideas, task flows. Okay, sketching ideas. So now an example of sketching, like when you're building your task flow, for example, hypothetically, let's just say this is something that we wanted to mimic. We wanted to mimic a site that looks like this, right? So sketching this out, I would obviously copy, I'm not going to do it now, but I would copy that into my app and I would just sketch out the ideas. I would say, okay, here's the, this is this portion here, this navigation, and then we have these big panels of these people here. And you do that in a low fidelity like this, like you could do it on a piece of paper or whatever, and that's called sketching out your ideas. And you do that for each of the screens that you want. And then the fourth one is just task flows, is putting these together. So sketching is one idea, and then task flows. And the reason why you do task flows is because it actually gives you an order of how you're going to design. Do I have an example of a task flow here? So Here's a really good version of a task flow. This is the start page. This is just sketched out on a piece of paper. You click here, you go to the business page. You click here and you go to this payroll, for example. So let me show you that exact process or that exact piece, that exact work. So this was that home page. You click this button, you come here, you enter your business name, you click next. It finds your business. You click next and you come here. So basically I outline that in what I call, where is it? My process here. So this is a task flow. I say all that. Let me just wrap it up and say this. I say all this is because when you start, take this analogy right here. This is before I actually design anything on screen, before I get to any visuals. All right, when I say, like when you're designing these apps, if you get good at and you get faster at doing this is the prep work. This is basically equivalent to prepping the wall before you paint. So I just analogy that I just used. If you do this and get good at this, I mean fast. So this work, these steps that I just outlined, when you do your first project, it'll probably take you a few days to like defining the problem, figuring out the solution, brainstorming ideas because you're overthinking it. You're like, should I design it this way? Should I design it that way? You're gonna be sketching out ideas, creating task flows, what have you. It could take you several days. When you get really good at something and like, hey, you really put yourself to the like you put a stopwatch on yourself and you say, hey, I want to design a project within a week or two, like to add to my portfolio. You can do this prep work within 1 day. You literally can do it within like a few hours. Excuse me. You define a problem. You go out there and you time box yourself. Give yourself 15 minutes to create that mood board. Basically, someone said, Mike, I'm getting my mood board got too big, meaning I'm going out there and I'm getting all these ideas out there. I'm like, yeah, you need to like time box it, because if I'm going to dribble and I'm going to anything, I'm looking at every site in the market. I'm looking for dashboard apps, right? If I'm looking at stuff like this, I'm like, oh man, this looks pretty. So I'm taking this. This looks pretty. So I take a screenshot of this. Man, this looks cool. This one's too fancy. I don't want to do that. This one looks kind of cool. Or this one looks cool. So I take a screenshot of this. Next thing you know, you got like 50 dashboards out there. You got to limit it. You got to like take 10 to 20. And then you're like, you know what? I can be doing this for days. I can create my mood board for a whole year if I don't time box myself. You time box it. Say, you know what? I'm going to stop after 15 minutes. I'm not even going to pull in anything that I like. And then you have like these 40 screens that you like. And then you start eliminating the ones that you're not going to sort of use as inspiration. Now you narrowed it down to like 4, right? Long story short, you will get faster at, and I love this question that you asked, Vince, because this is so crucial. I think being fast or getting faster at designing screens is only going to benefit all of us out there by adding more projects to your portfolio. And you get faster at designing these apps by getting faster at that prep work, defining the problem, brainstorming those ideas, that mood board that I just mentioned, sketching out these ideas. Now you took a process that might take you initially several days or even a week if you're just starting out. Then you sped it up to now you're doing it within a day. But now you're getting so good at it where you're probably doing that prep work within an hour. And then once you do that prep work and you have, like, let's say, where is it? You have this. So hypothetically, like this is pretty rough. But when I'm designing a project, I actually sketch out every page that I'm going to do. I sketch out the home page, not to the extent of the detail. It's just that I know I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Here's a little chat bubble that may be 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe a contact form, 8. 8 pages. I kind of just at least sketch them out on paper and I write them out. I'm going to do these 8 pages. So I know in this project, it's not complete until I do all these 8 pages. That right there is my process. If anybody is, and this is 100% true. If you're new to this, go to my site, MLUX Academy, click on online course and just read the phase 3 here and see if it's something that you're interested, because this is something that I take you through. This is my process. You do this process over and over and over again. You can speed it up and you can start designing your screens day one of you coming up with an idea. But it has to be the process. And here's the other thing that a lot of people, and I actually talked about this a while back. So for example, what's the word when you have a you're drawing a blank, right? Creative block. Oh yeah, that's the word, creative block. Okay, every designer at some point goes through a creative block. Let me zoom in here a little bit. So everybody goes through a creative block. And the way to get over your creative block is to have a process. All right. You cannot, it's super, super hard to design anything without going through those steps that I mentioned. Trust me, I've been doing this for 20 years. If you just want to start designing something like this without a process, good luck. Good luck. Everybody goes through a creative block. Why? Because they do not have this. If you have a process, it will eliminate basically all your thinking, so to speak. Go through the process that I just outlined. Define the problem. You can go and purchase my course, and I teach you this process. That will eliminate, you follow that template for every project you do, guaranteed, you hit the ground running. So the point of all this is the process, or having a process, is the way to eliminate creative block. And the more you use that process, the faster you get at it, the faster you will start designing apps and websites. To the point where somebody asked me this question, Mike, how long does it take to design an app? And I said, usually when you're first starting, because you're like overthinking a lot of things, it'll take you several weeks because you're just trying to say, hey, man, I just want to get it really looking nice. But I did a personal project, where I did it I was almost done with it within a week. So think about that. If I did another project, let's say starting next week, I'll finish one. Think about it. By the end of the year, I could have 5 more projects if I just stay consistent. If I was really planning that way, you got to follow a process. Hopefully you guys are getting some nuggets from this. I appreciate everybody, reaching in and chiming in. Let me see. Is my thing off? Okay. Yeah. Do you think coder designers? Mike, if I am more creative, go through some of these questions real quick, and I'm going to log off. Would you include a take-home product design exercise in your portfolio? I worked on a couple of weeks ago. It's pretty extensive. Yes, Definitely. If you worked on something you didn't get a job, add it to your portfolio straight up. Let me add this. Got the job thanks in part to Mike. You rock. But now I'm feeling a definite sense of imposter syndrome. Oh, so you got the job. You used my tips to get the job. Congrats. Now you feel imposter. Don't trip. Guess what? Everybody's figuring it out. Do this. Be honest. Know your skills. Know your strength. If you're feeling like imposter syndrome, that's because you're just you're thinking. You're overthinking it. Be you know you're good enough to land the job because you have some skills, you have some soft skills, you have some good enough hard skills. What you do is just ask questions, be honest. Don't try to don't try to knock it out the park. Go for the base hits. I actually posted a video about this. Like don't think you have to go up to the plate and hit a home run every time. Sometimes you might take a walk, which means you're just listening. Sometimes you're gonna hit it to the opposite field. Sometimes you're gonna ground out. That's okay. Talk to the coach. Talk to your teammates. Talk to your boss. Talk to your player. Ask your boss. Have a sit down with your boss. Hey, and this would be really great. Just hey, I just wanted to, I'm doing a job, whatever. I just wanted to know like what are some things that I should be focusing on. And your job will like that. Your boss will like that. Hey, you know what? That'd be great, and they'll give you some feedback. And just know that you're going to be improving every single day, even if you feel like your skills aren't good enough. That maybe someone else. I don't know why you're feeling like the imposter syndrome. Maybe somebody else is better, but just think what I said. Everybody's figuring it out. Okay, some people are there longer, and everybody is figuring it out, and eventually you'll get over that. Don't worry about it. Do you think no coder designs or do you think no code designers are the new DTP specialists? Design. I don't know what DTP is exactly, but no code designers. I don't believe that. Let me see. I don't know exactly what DTP is. Let me see if I can type this in. What is DTP? DTP design meeting. DTP. Desktop publishing. I don't know. DTP. I don't know exactly what DTP means. Sorry about that, but desktop publisher. Okay, somebody said that desktop publisher. Um, yeah, I'm looking here. So, desktop publisher. Um, what was the question? Here it is. Mike, do you think no-code designers are the new desktop publisher special? I don't know exactly what that is, um, but I don't know what that means per se, desktop publisher specialist. But I don't think anyone that knows no code, like I know no code, I don't think I'm replacing anyone right now. I don't even know I think it's still early in the game in terms of developing things. And do you think no code designers are the new desktop? Now, I don't know exactly what that question is, but I don't think right now. I think it's still early in the game in terms of even like learning a tool like Webflow. I don't think you're going to be replacing anybody or anything. I think it's great for what it's currently good for building. I use it to build my portfolio. I mean, if I had clients and I was building websites and you could build websites and stuff like that, I love it because of its ability to me as a designer to really design to control the design. Me coming from someone that used to love WordPress and now I do Webflow. I just love it, but it's still early in terms of like its use in the corporate environment. So I'm curious to know like what's its future and where it's going to go. I'm still up in the air. I don't know. to use an inspiration. Thanks for showing dribble examples and stressing the use of inspiration. Most, not all UI designers are aesthetically pleasing and not usable. Mm-hmm. Now I'm saying, Mike, if I am a more creative thinker, would the UX world be a place for first path for me, or do you recommend UI first? No, you having a good, you having being you considering yourself a good creative thinker, I think it's a great soft skill, which means you think out the box, which means you critically think a lot, which means you have a lot of ideas, which I think helps you even in problem solving. Like when you're designing and you're coming up with a solution, you by thinking, being creative, you come up with good solutions to solve for a problem that um, that your guys are trying to solve for. The UI portion is big because it's the visual design portion. I think you should focus on the skill of UI design, because you're naturally going to use your creative thinking skills day to day, just naturally through problem solving. It's a great soft skill to have. Whereas your visual UI design, if you don't have that, you need that to be seen as somebody that's just a creative thinker. You're not at that level yet where you're a CEO where you can just like throw out all these ideas and somebody else design the products for you. If you're out there looking to land a job as a product designer, you have to show some visual UI design skills. And then all this other creative thinking ability, your problem solving skills, your design thinking and stuff like that is just super added bonus to that's going to make you that much more valuable of a product designer and UX designer in solving real problems. She said, I started recently as a UX designer, switched from UI developer. Okay. Got a chance to work at bigger airlines brand, but facing a lot of competition from the same skill people. They're much more experienced. Yep. So you went from a developer to a UX designer, somebody that probably has more skills in overall process, visual design, and things like that, and they move faster. And that's just the truth. You might have the ability to critically think and problem solve as a developer, because developers do that, like UI developers, front end developers, um, obviously problem solve and have the critical think through developing an app. But when it comes to being a product designer or a UX designer, you have to apply that, but then design the screens as well. You have to think, but where is it? You have to think, but be able to come up with stuff like this. you know so how do you do that? You have to get good at your process. If you want to learn my process, truthfully, go to my site, MOX Academy. Check out my process. For anybody that is new to UX design, new to product design, study my process, because the process is my design process is what's going to allow you to design screens faster. All right. A lot of you might have, when I say UX design is common sense, it's because we have these skills naturally. We all have these skills naturally. But it's just the process that's why I say visual design is that important skill, that you need. A few more questions. David said, I have a final interview for a UX designer at a big company tomorrow. Any tips? Final interview as a UX designer at a big company. Um, just stick to my 4 strengths. Your visual design skills is important. Hard skill, you thinking problem solving is important. Your habit of critical thinking and communication. And just pitch if this is your final interview, just pitch the fact that you feel you feel communication or your ability to communicate with the team is huge. And just talk about your reasoning for why communication is important. Anybody that can communicate well with product owners, stakeholders, and devs to mesh that relationships like tight and create a great loving atmosphere, so to speak, you guys can move faster and produce products. And anyone at any level in an organization hearing that from a designer and that they understand, because you already have the skills. If you're at your final interview, they're not testing you anymore. They know you have the abilities. Now it's that time to just kind of like close the deal with, your understanding of, you being an asset to that company. So just talk more so about, the importance of, communication. You think that's a huge strength of yours. So you can always just throw in, hey, I just hold fast to my ability to communicate. I think that's huge in building relationships with developers, product owners, stakeholders, because when you do that, the entire team succeeds. And then if you do that, I guarantee you're hired. When can you start? You'll do great. I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate all you guys. Anyway, that's it. So great questions, guys. I appreciate you guys for coming through. I'm glad you guys appreciate these nuggets, and it's awesome. Thanks for hanging out. This was fun. If you guys have any questions, leave me comments. Hit me up on my site, MLUX Academy. Use the contact link. Let me show you guys. Go to my site, MLUX Academy. Use the contact link here. When it comes up, my internet's slow. Ask me any questions if you want, or leave me a comment below. I'll be happy to answer those for you guys. And anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for the support. Thanks for all your comments and feedback. And we'll talk soon, all right? Be good. We'll talk later. You're welcome, guys.